Hey everyone, this is probably the weirdest laptop many of you have ever seen, and it can do a lot of things other laptops cannot do. Today I'm going to spill water over it, put it in the oven, in my freezer and drop it from around 150 centimeters onto the floor. But there is a good reason for that. It's a fully rugged outdoor notebook, the DURABOOK Z14i. The style kind of reminds me of the first laptops I ever had contact with around 30 to 35 years ago, because it is so thick and heavy. It has huge bezels around the screen, and some of the ports it has really look ancient, and well, some of them actually are. Now, this laptop by DURABOOK can be configured in a dozen ways considering the CPU, RAM, SSD configuration, screen, battery, smart cards and several add-ons like a docking station, backup batteries, etc. I don't think it even comes with a regular price at all, and you'll have to get in contact with DURABOOK directly considering the configuration that you want. But from what I found out, they're usually somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 or euros, and I'm assuming that this one here might be around 3,000 or 3,300 or something like that. Not cheap at all, but well, very durable. And this version, which we'll be testing today, comes with an Intel Core Ultra 7 155U, a 12-core 14-thread Meteor Lake CPU, which in this case is only running at a pretty low 15 watt. Because this laptop does not have a fan. Because this laptop does not have air intake or outtake grids of any kind. Because this laptop is waterproof, even against strong jets, and it's IP66 certified as well, dust and water. It's also US military certified with 810H sturdiness and 461G low radiation, etc. So the performance is quite limited through thermals, and yes, it is therefore absolutely unhearable. Completely silent. Well, besides some very minor coil whining when you put your ear right next to it, but you won't hear that under regular usage. Despite the missing fan system, it doesn't get hot even under full load, well, mainly because of the low TDP of only 15 watt, of course. Now, this model here does not have a dedicated GPU, while apparently it can be configured with a low-powered RTX A500, but we only get the Iris Xe 64EU's iGPU in the CPU for this one. It is accompanied by 32 GB of DDR5 5600 megatransfer per second RAM and a 512 GB SSD RAID 1 config, meaning we're getting two identical M.2 PCI Express SSDs that are mirroring the data, so in case of a failure, you still got all your files while the reading speed was up to around 2.5 GB per second and the writing speed around 1.8 GB per second. The screen is a super bright 14-inch TFT 16:9 60Hz touch display with a maximum brightness of up to 1200 nits, and because this is an outdoor model, we can even use it with gloves, because they even got a special gloves mode which can easily be chosen in the DURABOOK control center, and there is a stylus mode as well. The Gamma 2.2 value was almost perfect, though color accuracy is pretty bad, but this is not a laptop for creatives at all. I guess it's just not important for the target group. Also, the pre-calibration was quite off, as you can see here. Also, I'm assuming, because this is a touchscreen, you can see a matte film on it, and it's not the sharpest that I've seen. You know, you sometimes get this slightly blurry film on matte TFT touchscreens, older ones, and this one has it. Now, as this laptop might also be used by the military or for people on field missions or construction sites of any kind, it also sports both an optional GPS module and LTE module, so you can install a SIM card in here if needed. Faster 5G is available as well. Since the DURABOOK Z14i is waterproof against strong jets, all ports are hidden behind special sealed covers that can be locked. And there are lots of connections, and some of them might seem a bit weird. On the left, we do have direct access to the two M.2 SSDs running in RAID 1. You can easily pull them out with a strap. If I open this one up, we get a micro SD card slot and a SIM card slot, as well as a smart card reader over here. And then I also found this weird thing over here. Let me show you. Just come closer and have a look. If you press that button, it opens up and I have absolutely no idea what this is. I mean, it says DVD. It says DVD on the side, and it seems to be the most fragile part of the whole laptop. However, at the back, we are seeing two LAN ports, HDMI 2.1, let me open that for you, and an ancient VGA port for these old beamers and monitors, and two even more ancient RS-232 ports to connect measurement hardware and special stuff. And on the right side, we are getting two modern, very modern Thunderbolt 4 ports, which also support DisplayPort out, and you can charge the laptop using them. Plus two USB 3.2 ports, a USB 2.0 port, and a 3.5mm audio jack. And here we can also swap out the battery over there. By the way, for which I saw an idle runtime of around 10.5 hours and a YouTube runtime of almost 8 hours with a display brightness of 50% and loudness of 20% using headphones. And with additional optional hardware, you can hot swap that battery, meaning you will be able to pull it out over here, insert a new one while the laptop is running, and you're good to go. Overall, this laptop is a bit more complicated and complex than any other laptop I've ever had. And for the first time, I was actually reading parts of a laptop manual because so many functions have been new to me. Crazy. So let's also quickly talk about the keyboard and the tiny touchpad. The very slightly lit keyboard is in general pretty good. It is very sturdy and typing felt just alright. The arrow keys over here have a weird layout though. And the brightness of the illumination should be, well, much brighter. And there are also two programmable macro buttons above the keyboard. The really tiny touchpad is a bit different from regular touchpads. The pointer area is 100% solid and not clickable. Well, you can execute a left click with a soft touch, but no right click. For that you have to use the two buttons below the pointer area, meaning it worked okay, but it's small and it takes some time getting used to, but it's a sacrifice to make it more sturdy and waterproof. Speaking of waterproofness, I've tested it myself, not only for the thumbnail, but actually 2 times. Let's have a look. Alright, and now I'm going to spill this full glass of water over the running laptop, and we're going to find out if it's still working afterwards with everything. Okay, let's go. Well, it's still working. It's wet and dripping. And well, it's apparently also safe to drop it from up to 180 centimeters. Alright, and now we are going to perform the dropping test from around 120 centimeters. I'm going to run Cinebench R23 while doing so, but I'm going to close the lid for security reasons. It's still working. Apparently, due to the drop, the SSD security lid was open, but the SSDs are still inside and fixated and the system is still running. Probably it wasn't closed tight, which is my fault. The other, no, this cap is open as well. But aside from that, there's no scratches or anything that I can see right now. And you can use it in temperatures between -29 degrees Celsius and +71 degrees Celsius. So I put it in my freezer. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start Cinebench R23 and place the laptop in my freezer for around 25 minutes. And I'm going to run Cinebench R23 on a loop, and we're going to see what happens after 25 minutes, if it's still working.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Alright, and now 25 minutes are over, so let's get it out. Pretty cold. And just working perfectly fine. And I also put it into the oven at 60 degrees Celsius running Cinebench. I have to point out again, for a 14-inch laptop, it's super heavy, around 3.9 kilogram, but it's to ensure the stability and the cooling system, since it has to passively cool down the Core Ultra 7 CPU in here. The material on the underside feels like bulletproof metal, while everything else seems to be made out of robust, slightly textured plastic that does a great job of resisting fingerprints, by the way. This is what the actually pretty good looking 1080p camera looks like, and what the integrated microphone sounds like. And this is what it sounds like when I'm typing on the keyboard while recording. Now let's talk about the performance. Due to the passive cooling, this CPU runs with a very low TDP of only around 15 watt, and therefore it is slower than the same CPU in other laptops. But it's definitely fast enough for the tasks you're probably going to throw at such a laptop. Up to 6,982 points in a first run of Cinebench R23 and a single core score of 1,572. That's not breathtaking, but it's definitely not bad for such a sturdy machine. 385 in Cinebench 2024, multi-core, and 90 points for the single core score. And I also got around 5,630 points for PC Mark X, meaning it is absolutely able to provide at least some basic performance with its 12 cores. And I absolutely know, this is super far away from a gaming laptop, but I just had to try. And I even tried some games that I thought would fit the audience for such a laptop. Maybe. I'm not judging here. First one was Mud Runner at 1080p and high settings, which actually ran pretty well despite the super low TDP. While I'm actually not sure if the TDP readings are correct, as they're even lower in other games I've tested. However, such a light game seems to be doable just fine, and hey, even the temperatures seemed to be alright. Forza Horizon 5 looked playable on first sight at 720p and low settings, and the FPS are in the high 40s to high 50s. But you can see these constant hiccups in the frame time graph. Something was a bit off here. I mean, even the gameplay footage seems to be mostly okay, but if you're sensitive, you'll definitely notice some unstable frame times. The same applied to Hunter Call of the Wild at 720p and medium settings. Seems to work okay at first, but the frame time graph shows it's not running really smooth after all. I mean, we knew it was not a gaming laptop, and I'm sure easy indie games perform okay for the most part. I mean, this game here does have some more advanced graphics after all. I also just fired up Megabonk because it's such a lightweight, and at 1080p and low settings I didn't see any problems, got high FPS and no stuttering whatsoever, so if you're preparing with some lighter games, you can probably enjoy around here and there. Overall, impressive laptop in many aspects, and if you haven't already noticed that, this was my first fully rugged laptop review, so I don't have much to compare it to other than regular office or gaming laptops. But it's impressive how it's able to passively run without any noise, without overheating, and without dying when dropped, watered, put in the freezer or the oven. It's not pretty by any means, and it kinda has the charm of a military briefcase, but well, I guess this is how it's supposed to be. And that's it for today. The laptop was loaned to me by DURABOOK. It's getting reset now and then sent back to the manufacturer. But if you have any questions, hit me up. If you enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like or subscribe to the channel for more laptop, handheld and mini PC stuff. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye bye and tschüss.